So this is a reply to a comment I received on the video I made on undescended testicles in babies. And the lady said her 10-year-old son has a very small penis. She thinks his penis is about the size that she would expect of a 2-year-old child. She's repeatedly gone to see the doctor, and the doctors have kept telling her that her child's penis size is normal, and she's worried. She said her gut instinct, her gut feeling is that there's something potentially wrong with her child, and she just wants my advice. I'll make this as a video so that other parents can also benefit from it. Now, when a child is born, for the first 6 months, the child will experience what we call mini puberty, because there's a slight surge or increase in testosterone production. Now, testosterone mostly comes from the testicles. Part of it comes from the adrenal glands, two small glands that sit on top of the kidneys. They produce this testosterone. And testosterone is responsible for the increase in size of the penis, both the increase in length and the increase in width or the girth of the penis. Now, when the child is born, for the first 6 months, the child will have a surge in testosterone levels. We call that the mini puberty, and there'll be a very slight increase in size of the penis. But then after the first 6 months, the child's penis remains very small, like that of a child, until the child gets to puberty proper, and that's around the age of 9, maybe 10, 11, up to the age of 14. It's a range in boys, right? 9 to 14 years. When the child gets to puberty, the testicles will increase in size, they'll start producing much more testosterone, and then the penis will start increasing in size, both in length and in girth. And that usually happens up until the age of 16, 17, 18, when the child becomes an adult, and then this growth in penis size stops usually around the age of 18, we'll say. Now, for your child who is 10 years, there's a likelihood that if every other thing is normal, if your child gets to puberty, so if he might be in puberty, or maybe he's going to get to puberty 11, 12, who knows, by the time he gets to the age of puberty, he will now have normal, high levels of testosterone, and his penis will start increasing in size. But what if there's a problem, which is exactly what you want to know? Are there things that could actually make someone's penis small? The answer is yes. There's what we call micropenis, when the size of the penis is less than 2.5 standard deviation below the average population size of the penis. Now, we can make a diagnosis of micropenis, right, for when the baby is very small, or when they've got to puberty, or even as adults. But obviously, we don't want to be waiting until the child is an adult to find out if there's a problem or not. Now, what our advice is that if you're still having, if your gut feeling still tells you that something is potentially wrong, I'll say go to a different doctor, seek a second opinion, or a third opinion, or a fourth opinion, because there are certain things that can actually, cause the penis to be small. Number one is if there's a genetic problem. So the child has a chromosomal problem, a genetic problem. They might have very small penis, which means maybe their testicles, they may not have testicles. Very likely, I assume your child has, testicles. You can feel the balls. Or if the testicles are not functioning very well, it's difficult to tell that at the age of 10, because usually we want to wait until the child reaches puberty for us to now see whether their testicles will now, activate and start producing testosterone that will drive that growth in the penis. If there's a growth hormone deficiency, if there's a deficiency, if there's a problem with production of hormones from the brain, the pituitary gland, if there's a problem with production of hormones from the adrenal glands, maybe the child has what we call congenital adrenal hyperplasia. But very likely there will be other signs. The child might be very fatigued, the child might not be growing generally. So there are other signs that your doctor will identify, that will give them clues as to whether there's a problem, a hormonal problem or not. If your doctors have told you that there is no problem, they've reassured you, then very likely they're happy with the way your child is growing generally. Then so we've talked about hormones and of course genetic problems. So I'll say if you're still worried, I'll say we seek another opinion from someone else. They might decide to do some hormonal tests, depending on what they think, what they suspect. Sometimes they might have to do what we call a karyotype, which is like a genetic testing, to confirm that the child is genetically male. Right? If your child has testicles, very likely your child is genetically male. But if there's any confusion, then sometimes they might have to do what we call karyotyping to make sure your child has a chromosome of 46XY, which is genetic male, as against 46XX, which is a genetic female. So my advice is, number one, if it can be watch and wait, we can watch and wait, see whether your child goes into puberty, if they're developing pubic hairs, deepening of the voice and things like that, armpit hairs and all that, those changes that happen in puberty in boys. If they start developing those changes, then we expect that their testosterone levels start going up and their penis will start growing, alongside other pubertal changes. Or if you don't want to wait for that to happen naturally, then I'll say go and get another opinion from a doctor. You might have to go private, and they might consider doing some investigations if they think it's necessary. The thing is that we don't want to be investigating if we don't think it's necessary, because micropenis happens in about 1 out of 300 boys. So it's fairly common, but it's not that common. Out of 300 boys, it happens in about one child. We don't want to be investigating if there are no clear reasons to investigate. But again, if your gut feeling, if you're deep down in your heart, you feel that maybe something is wrong, I would say get that opinion, second or third or fourth opinion, and ask questions. Does your child need investigations? To make sure that his testicles are functioning properly, producing testosterone, and that the testosterone, is functioning as again, if your child hasn't got into puberty yet, their testosterone levels will not be high, so it becomes a bit more tricky to interpret things.